Traci people, Traci Reed here today, coming at you with a Sketchy Sunday number 18 layout. You can see the sketch up here in the top corner that we're going to be using today. There is a blog post linked in the description box below with all of the other layouts inspired by this sketch. Also, you can download a printable PDF of the sketch to help you along if you want over there. So I'm going to be using these two photos of my husband and my son, and you can see my son is about 4 inches taller than my husband, so they were just comparing heights because it was amusing. So I'm going to be using those photos and also the Filled with Intention collection, because I think it has a lot of great rainbow colors to complete this sketch with. Plus it's super like bright and vibrant, and I have black and white photos, so that's what we're going to be using today. So let's get started. Alright, so as per usual, the first thing I need to do is get out the papers I want to use, and I decided to go with the patterned cards because they are the perfect size width-wise for this page. So I'm just going to pull out all of the tonal sort of solid patterned cards for this page. So I'm going to arrange them in rainbow order because I love me a rainbow, so we're going to be working in rainbows today. And then once I have those decided, I go over to my ink area and pull out Catherine Puller inks that will match this collection. And then I'm going to pull out my glass mat, and I'm going to start by trying to watercolor all the colors at once, which of course does not work because they all just sort of glob together in a big mess. Not a big deal. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to wipe it off, and then I'm going to go in with a brush, and I'm going to go color by color and sort of just swipe it on. I know that the majority of this page is going to be covered up by the paper strips, so I just want to make sure, especially on the edges, that I get a lot of nice, really great color and texture with the strokes so that it looks good. I put a little bit too much of that big blue on because I realized that my stripes were too thin towards the bottom of the page, or the top of the page's stripes are too thin. But like as I worked my way down, I realized that I was going too thin. So I put it down a little bit too much blue, but that's okay. I'm going to make it work when I put down the paper strips. You can see I also used that splatter brush to splatter the blue ink around the page, and I used water on top of the ink because the ink is water reactive. So I wanted that splotchy sort of watercolor vibe. It does mostly end up in the center of the page that gets covered up, but that's okay. I like it anyway. So I'm going to cut down all of these cards to 1.5 inches wide by 5 inches, or I guess 1.5 inches tall by 5 inches wide. I probably should have left it at 6 inches. They are a little tiny bit short, but it works out in the end because you can really see the paint around the outside edges, so that's okay. So I'm going to arrange these down the page, and I'm going to trim them a bit as well and make them fit with these watercolor stripes that I created. And then I'm going to add in my holes, cut it down the middle just so that I know where everything is starting off. So then I'm going to mat these photos on this patterned card that is black and white because the photos themselves are black and white, and I'm going to use a bunch of colored embellishments in line with the colors of the stripes on the page. So I want there to be a little bit of black and white to help everything stand out. So my title is going to end up being black and white as well, just for a little bit of variation and so that it looks interesting. I decided to keep these in sort of a Polaroid frame matting rather than trimming that bottom edge close to the photo. Just, I don't know, for a little bit more height, just because it seemed fun. I'm going to pop them both up on foam tape, and because of the sketch that goes right across the middle, I'm actually going to overlap these across the middle as well. Normally I don't overlap across the middle unless, you know, it's paper strips like in the background. But I really do love the effect and the way that it looks, so I'm going to make it work on this page too. So one of the ways in which I'm going to do that is I'm going to take this other part of the photo that I clipped off, and I'm actually going to adhere it directly to the background rather than trying to pop it up on foam tape like the rest of the photo. I guess it's a little odd, but it looks right when you're looking at the page. Like, it doesn't look like, oh, that's weird. It's lower than the photo itself. Like, you can see it looks fine. So we're going to make that happen. And then I'm going to cut these journaling strips from this journaling card, and I'm going to arrange them down the page like the sketch says. I start with this red one. It doesn't work out right away, so I'm going to end up cutting all of these apart and then working my magic once I have them all cut apart. That way I can more accurately or easily put things down in a way that makes better sense. So one thing I do is I put down the pink and the blue, then the yellow, and then I end up putting that red back, but it doesn't, the yellow, okay, so what bothered me about it, and this is my nitpickiness coming out, was that when I put down the blue, the pink, and the red, the two journaling strips on the left-hand side of the page had the hearts on the outside, and then the two journaling strips on the right side of the page, one of the hearts was on the inside, one of the hearts was on the outside, which is just so nitpicky, but that's just how I roll. So I'm going to pull the yellow one off, and I'm going to use green instead, which is fine because I needed a little bit more green on the page anyway. So now I have my journaling strips down, and I have all of these embellishments from the collection on the side here that I'm going to arrange according to what color paper strip they go on top of. So some of them won't work obviously, so I'm going to just discard them as I go. But I'm just using a bunch of stars and different arrows from the collection. There's also florals in the sticker sheet, but I decided not to incorporate florals, although I could have, because my title ends up being growing like a weed. So flowers sticking up out of these paper strips would have been good, but I don't know what my title is at this point, so I just don't use any of the florals. And then I contemplate when I'm done going back and adding florals in, but I end up not because it looks fine without them. So I want my arrows to point up because it's about growing and being tall. That's what this layout is about. So all of my arrows are pointing up, and I'm going to start sticking everything down now. And I decide that there's just not enough going on with the texture on this layout, which is strange because I use all that mixed media, but there's not enough going on with the texture on the layout. So I'm going to add in some acrylic. I was looking for enamel, but it was acrylic stars from Colorcast Designs. Those stars that I just put down over on the pink, they're actually lavender, but the way that they're reading on the page with the pink color, it looks fairly pink, so I think it's going to work. I'm going to end up rearranging some of these stars and changing things up a little bit because I'm going to pull off the backing, and it makes it so that some of these stars, like the greens, are not quite the correct greens, but when I pull off the backing, they start blending in better. So I put down the pink stars, and I'm going to start putting down these enamel dots, or old Cocoa Daisy enamel dots that I've pulled out in colors that will match. But when I start sticking down the pink enamel dots, it really makes those purple stars look more purple than they did before, and you'll see that in just a second. So it kind of it doesn't frustrate me, but it like makes me think, okay, well, I need to pull up these pink stars because they're not, or these purple stars because they're not pink anymore. So I'm going to rearrange these stars a little bit as I start doing that. So you can see when I put down the pink enamel dots, they really start looking purple, which is funny. So I'm just going to wipe up the glue, put the enamel dots over where the glue was, and then come back to this at a different point and see if I change my mind. So once I start putting down the letters for the title, I'm going to rearrange some of these stars as well and arrows because it just frames better once I stick down the title. So my title is going to be growing like a weed. So I'm going to start with weed because it's the largest alphabet, but I put it over here and decide that I don't really love it. And so it's like crossing the page a little bit, and it's making me a little bit or it was making me a little bit frustrated. So I just rearranged, and I like this a lot better. But now I'm like, nope, those letters need to move. So I move everything over to the left-hand side, and when I do that, there's some open space to put these stars back, and that's what I'm gonna do. So that is it for this video. If you enjoyed it, I'd love it if you get a thumbs up. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. I'd love to have you. If you don't already, you can follow me over on Instagram. I'm at Traci M. Reed. There's a link to the sketch challenge in the description box below if you want to do the sketch too. All right, thank you.